When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you are in the championship rounds with the one and only King Amin of Essex, and I am here with Exclusivo, ladies and gentlemen. This is my sister in boxing. I love it when she's here to join me. MC in the ring. Let the people know where they can find you and get more great boxing news and notes from you, sis.
Thank you so much for having me again. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. So you can find me on MC_in the ring on all social platforms. I have Twitter and Instagram. And within that, you can find a link to our YouTube channel, which is called In the Ring. Me and my husband, we have our YouTube channel, and it's called In the Ring because we both love boxing and we're married. So I love it. Thank you so much for having me again.
No, thank you for coming. And listen, boxing is often a family affair. So yeah, I'm glad you guys got that. Yes. Be sure to check them out. This is a fight week preview we're doing right now. It was a lot to take apart for me. I did a show earlier this week, but I'm glad you're here with me because one thing I know about you, you like to comb through the finer details. Yes, so I want to take some time to go through these. You already pointed out some things behind the scenes that we got to make sure that we cover. But let's start with what I think is the big one. Even though we got some heavyweight action, I think this is the big one this weekend. Jose Zepeda, Regis Prograis, 140 pounds. They're fighting for pieces of that Thanos gym that was put out there by Josh Taylor. Yes. A long time for Prograis to come back. Zepeda's been making his way in this direction. What do you think of this fight? Give us your insight on this one.
So I have Regis winning. I have him winning in a late stoppage, maybe the 10th, 11th round. I think one of the biggest key points for Regis is going to be his corner. I think he has an amazing coach in Bobby, and I think he's going to guide him through that victory. He's going to be able to figure out Zepeda. I think Zepeda has already been in that spot and he wasn't able to succeed. I also feel that he's coming off a weird week for him. He was in a car accident earlier this week. There was also a charge because he punched someone in the gym, another weird thing that happened. So I don't know if he's necessarily 100% focused. He says he is, but those things could possibly affect you. And maybe he wasn't hurt physically, but mentally, maybe he shook him. Right. So I'm not really sure if he's there mentally 100%. They both looked great at the weigh-in. I was able to catch it earlier. So I do think Zepeda is going to give him a good fight. I don't think it's going to be a one-sided, completely beat down, but I do think Regis is the more experienced. And I do believe that he's been in there with the undisputed champ already. And I actually have Regis winning that fight.
Yeah.
I do not think Josh Taylor beat Regis. So to me, this is time for him to make that comeback and get a shot at possibly winning all the belts. Maybe he wants to be undisputed. To me, the best fight that would be for Regis in the future after he wins this would be a Regis versus Tank. To me, that at 140 would be wow.
Yeah. Now, you pointed out some important things with Regis. You gave him the advantage, and you pointed out something that I think will help the deficit in my observation. Because I said, what about Regis' discipline? I don't want Regis to go in there and try to trade against Zepeda.
Correct.
And you pointed out his corner. I think that'll be the missing link because he is a fighter that don't mind a war. And it was some of that willingness to trade that gave the judges, they wanted to give it to Taylor, I think that if he kind of just stays a little bit more composed, his corner keeps him composed, he will be able to pull it through. Now with the stoppage, I was giving Zepeda the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, you lay it out there. I'm even thinking as far back as the war with Baranchek. And even though he had the fight with Jose Vargas,
yes, Jose Vargas,
and he came through that one, I think that was more Vargas than it was Zepeda. I think Zepeda was the crafty veteran, but he wasn't tested. The fight he didn't get enough rounds. But the fact that Zepeda used the car accident, kind of other lapses, he's kind of worn there. Whereas Regis, even though his inactivity, he's like garage kept.
Yes, and
you know what I'm saying?
The inactivity also had to do with the COVID situation.
Yes.
So it wasn't necessarily that he didn't want to fight or anything like that. I think if anything, all of this worked out for Regis because guess what? He's now coming back to a hotter and way better 140 than it was back in the day. Think about 140 now. He could go make a lot of money fighting someone like Tank. Even Ryan Garcia is now at 140 or could possibly fight up there. Teofimo Lopez, who is going to be fighting December 10th here soon. So 140 is looking great, and I'm glad that Regis is making this comeback, and I think he's going to make a statement this weekend.
That's going to be a very exciting fight. I can't wait to see that one. Now, on that card, too, there's some legacy on there. The Vargas boys on there, right?
Yes.
Now, it's 3 of them. Emiliano is like the star that's on Top Rank, right? Yes. They got Emiliano billed as the star, but it's 2 more, right?
Yes.
It's Fernando. I don't know, is he the second or junior?
Yes. I think then you got the oldest one.
He's the oldest.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and then they have yet another brother. I don't want to screw the
Amado.
See, now I'm glad they was with Triller rocking now. I'm glad now they're on this Marv Nation card. Yes. Tell me what you think about these young boys, the Vargas brothers. Are they hype or are they real? I kind of know my answer, but I just want to hear someone else validate it.
I think at this point, they haven't really been able to show a lot of their talent or haven't been tested with the right opponent because of the marketing promotional issues, like you said, that they've had. Now, the younger one, the one that Emilio, El General Vargas, he's the one that just signed with Top Rank. Now, I think his future is bright.
Yeah.
I think he signed the contract at the right age. He's going to be more focused. He's going to have more resources. And I think that's going to allow him to be guided in the best situation. You know, a lot of the times they say, like, whenever you have 3 kids and like they all are good at a sport, a lot of the times the younger one, even in athletes, you see that in brothers, that the best one is kind of always the younger one. Just because even the parents learn through their raising their kids, this is maybe what we could have done better and all that, right? I mean, so I think that's showing, but the Vargas name itself brings a lot of fans. So I do think that they're part of one of the reasons why there might be a big crowd at this event this upcoming weekend. I can't hear you.
Damn. I want to give them credit. Thank you. See? I told you, fine tooth comb. She don't miss a thing, man. I want to give them credit for wanting to fight outside of that shadow. They talk a lot about that. They talk a lot about having gone into Puerto Rico and having the experience of, you know, because of their father's history with Tito Trinidad, like what that experience was like. They talked about going to Mexico and kind of getting embraced, and some people thinking like, oh, y'all are just living off your dad's legacy. So I think they remind me, if you could follow me, like they like Romeo Miller, like Master P's son. I think the kind of child so close to the game, you know, their maturity belies their experience. And I think they have the right maturity. Now, as far as potential and talent, you got to fight them fights. And if they're willing, respectfully, if they're willing to hang a shingle on Nico Ali Walsh, I'm willing to hang a shingle on these Vargas boys. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with it. And again, I'm with you in terms of hoping that they will continue to build a legacy, draw crowds, and do whatever they need to do. Yeah, so shout out to you. Shout out to you, Pops. Good father, strong fatherhood. Yes. I love that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, that's what it's all about. You know, how can we better our previous generation? And he's already been there and done a lot of these things. So I'm proud of him, like you said, that he's taking the time to give that feedback back to his sons. And they're very popular. They had like their own reality TV show for a while, or I think they still do. So a lot of people do know who they are.
No, definitely. Salute, man. Now, speaking of been there, done that, speaking of father, I'll say in the respect of father time, one Dillian White, he is headlining a card this weekend. It's a big card. We'll get to it, but this heavyweight bout, I always say the heavyweight division, heavyweight fights, one punch away from knowing who that guy is, right? One big fight away, you know, you get rid of, you know, the gatekeeper, so to speak. Tell me your thoughts on this one.
So I think that, first of all, Dillian's out there talking about Wilder. Wilder is coming off a knockout. Last time I checked, White was the one getting knocked out. So why is he out there, talking about Wilder when, I don't know, right? So I think he should be focused on his own fight. And then his own coach said he doesn't really watch tape on opponents, which was another thing. Like even Clarissa Shields was talking about that, saying,
yeah,
what do you mean you don't watch any tape, right? So I haven't seen a lot of tape on his opponent, Franklin, right? I believe.
Yeah. Yep,
I
Jeremiah
did.
Franklin.
Yes, he is obviously American. He's undefeated. Like you said, heavyweight, anything can happen. Just like today during the World Cup game of the United States versus England, anything could have happened at any point. So I think heavyweight, you just gotta watch. I don't really have a pick in this fight. I would say I'm more likely gonna be watching the other European fight that's also gonna be going down. But there's gonna be a lot of stuff to watch this weekend. I'll probably run it back later that day. But if I had to pick, maybe I will lean towards Franklin. I'm not sure, but just because he's maybe never had that chance to do it. So can he prove himself? Maybe he can. I don't know, but.
Yeah, great point. And I think that's what this is about. And I think both of these guys, it's a proving ground. Dillian Whyte is fighting at home, but he has more to prove, more to lose at home. If he loses to the young heavyweight, the guy you can't find a lot of footage of unless you try to watch it on Showbox. Showbox don't make their content available. The damn Viacom machine don't make their content available. It's hard to go back and try to watch a little Jermaine Franklin tape, but you had to watch him on Salida Promotions because Salida Promotions was late in the game and getting that deal with Showtime in order for you to even see him putting in any kind of work. But because I know that, I know a little bit about him, and I know he better come to fight, because if Dillian Whyte has a chance to get this guy out of here, I mean, fighting at the level he's fought, and that's the edge I got to give him. People are immediately going to look at the flag and say I'm biased. Maybe. It's tribal, all right? But at the same time, I feel like the level of opposition and the mistakes that he could make, or like we've seen him make against Povetkin, if he makes that same kind of mistake against, Franklin, I don't know that Franklin can get him out of here like Povetkin could. I think, maybe the complexion of the fight changes the longer it goes, which more favors Dillian Whyte. So I kind of got him, thinking he can pull through. If Franklin wins, it's a great upset. But does that make it an exciting prospect for Wilder should Dillian Whyte pull successful? Is that is something we want to see?
I personally think that Wilder's probably right now busy with the Andy Reese anyways. Mm-hmm. I would say if Jared Anderson has a great exhibition December 10th, put him against Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson is ready. He already was ranked top 15 previously whenever they had the conference, WBC, I believe. So why not get a shot at someone here in America? That is a domestic fight that we can make here, and people love heavyweight fights. And that could be the introduction to Jared Anderson. I don't know who Franklin is signed with, but if he's not
Salida Promotions,
that's something that they could possibly make, because they're not in contract. They don't have like a, with Showtime, like
Salida works with everybody.
Correct. So that would be a good fight. And I love Jared Anderson. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division for America. So I would love to see him get a shot like that, especially if Franklin is able to go to England and beat Whyte, or even guess what, Whyte, now maybe you can come to America, since Tyson Fury can come to America. Maybe Whyte come to America and fight someone like Jared Anderson here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And if he wins, then maybe he can fight Wilder, since he's been talking smack,
And that's the good thing about those heavyweight fights. If you win or lose, sometimes if you got an axe to grind, you've been talking too much smack about a guy, it's like, oh, we can still settle this, and we'll try to settle it to a knockout. You know what I'm saying? And so the heavyweight division, always something exciting to bring. One more thing on that card I wanted to point out. There were two more things, rather. There's some heavyweight action. Fabio Wardley against Nathan Gorman. Wardley is making his way, positioning himself. He's kind of like in the same trajectory as Jared Anderson. And I brought this fight up specifically because, again, you got that Jared Anderson and Fabio Wardley on a collision course for the future? Do you think that Wardley has had enough seasoning that he could be ready for Anderson or vice versa?
I think the time is coming for those type of that level of fighters to start facing each other. We're kind of tired of stalling for the other opponents, the main champions, to fight each other. So what fights are we going to see? They're eventually going to start putting pressure from all the different associations if they don't start fighting.
Yeah.
So the other guys have to start proving themselves in order for them to be top contenders. If not, how are they ever planning on moving up? And I know that Bob is interested in making Jared Anderson already a top contender.
Sure.
Who is who represents that other guy? Who's his promoter?
Matchroom.
Yeah, maybe that's something that they could do. Or there's a lot of other. I think that Matchroom has other heavyweight fighters too. I guess AJ can always get another fight. I mean, I don't think AJ is gonna retire anytime soon.
And just because when you bring up the promotional aspect of it, I could kind of see a Daniel Dubois and a Jared Anderson being built, because Frank Warren loved doing business with with Top Rank. He's got no privacy, you know what I mean? So I think that and again, Dubois, he's got an interim title, so they could make that fight worth something, you know, marketing wise. So, and you know, and pointing out that these fighters, you want to see them built sooner and not having to wait a guy's 20 fights in, 25 fights in, because I bring up also in that card, my girl Sandy Ryan is fighting. Now, Sandy Ryan is on this card. She fought for a vacant title and won. She's a fighter that, what is she? I think she's like 8-1, 9-1, and she only has one loss, but in her loss, it was for a title. Then on top of that, now her next fight, she's in there against an opponent who's 21-5 and who's already fought Katie Taylor.
Yes.
She's fought Maiva Hamadouche, who Michaela Mary.
Yes.
She fought Chantel Cameron, and who else she fought? Because
who's now the undisputed champion. I mean, these are not bad people that you can lose to.
And Sandy Ryan's fighting her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In her first title defense.
Wow.
Women's boxing. I just wanted to point that out. Men's boxing can take a page out the book. Let's move these guys along a little bit faster, man. I know the money's supposed to be there, but it's something that would do something well for us, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys in the new Team USA that we've had that have been signed with Top Rank are kind of pushing more for that. You even have Shakur Stevenson out there saying, why do we gotta wait? Yeah. Like, I want to fight now. So I think that they do have, even Ryan Garcia has said, I want to retire when I'm like 30. So the mentality is different on a lot of these younger fighters where they're not trying to fight till they're 45.
Sure.
So.
Sure. No, definitely great point on that. Now, as we talking about women's boxing, we missed something. And again, you pointed out to me in a pre-production, Evelyn Bermudez and Yokasta Valle.
Yes, from Costa Rica.
Yes. Now, again, I'm not biased, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that the what are they? The straw weights. I'll be out of my body with that, ladies and gentlemen. But we can't point out something, you know, when it's especially a title online. We want to highlight everything. And it was also a fighter you wanted to mention. We got to give us some love.
Yes, so just today, Team USA was being represented in Spain, and Jocelyn Perez from Houston, Texas actually won the gold. So shout out to her. I'm so glad. She not only got the win, but it was a stoppage on the first round. So I will send you the link later to check her out, or if you guys can go check it out on my Twitter, also on my Instagram, but it was so amazing. And it just makes me so happy to be able to know that the future of boxing is in great hands, specifically the female boxing.
Awesome. And continuing with that, I want to just highlight one more bout before we get to the interesting stuff you talked about. Jamie Mitchell is fighting. Who's Jamie Mitchell? Jamie the Miracle Mitchell out of LA. She's defending her Bantamweight title that she lifted from Shannon Courtney, who defended her belt against Ebony Bridges. Why am I saying that? Because the bantamweight division in women's boxing. We could have Jamie Mitchell, Ebony Bridges. Could be a reason to bring Ebony Bridges to California. You know, she's like the blonde bomber. So that's also happening this weekend. But forget about that European part. You want to get to this, and I want to allow you, I want you to just split this thing wide open. All I'm going to do is mention about, and I want you to have at it. It is John Ryder versus Zach Parker, 168-pound super middleweight division. MC, have at it, sis.
So I'm not that excited to see this fight. Again, it is going to be something that's going to be going on during the day, right? Because it's in Europe. But one thing that I will have to say is that the winner of this fight, I do believe will be the next opposition for Canelo, I believe in May. I also think that this fight happens in London. He's been talking about fighting in Europe for a while already. Canelo has.
Wow.
I personally have Zach Parker winning this fight. I think that John Ryder has already been in that spot with Billy Joe Saunders, who is a tough opponent. I understand that. He also lost to Caleb Smith, and he also lost to Rocky Fieldman.
Wow.
So why are you gonna win this fight and then go fight Canelo after Canelo already beat all these guys? Right? So maybe we want to see a little bit different. John Ryder might be the right opponent to make Canelo look good after his defeat, or after his defeat against Vivo and his not an A+ performance that he had against Triple G, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that could benefit him, but I do believe Zach Parker is going to win. Now, Zach Parker his body does physically remind me of Caleb Plant.
Lean.
Yes, and I do think he does have knockout power. I believe he's got like 16 TKOs out of the 23 or 20 wins that he has. He's never lost. So that's kind of, I'm leaning towards that. Now, John Ryder does have a little bit more experience maybe, but he's also on the older side, too many miles, like we said earlier. I think that Zach Parker is a younger guy, and he's going to be able to go in there and possibly stop John Ryder, which if he stops him, people are going to say, well, he's good enough to face Canelo. But in reality, you knocked out John Ryder. It's not like you knocked out, who's another one? David Benavidez. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think that there's kind of like a big gap in between some of the opposition that's at 168, and then you have like the elites, like you have the Canelos, you have David Benavidez, you have Caleb Plant, who has already been in there, David Morrell, he's already a champion, and then you have all the people in the bottom that have already they've already held the belt at some point, but they no longer have it, right? So are they gonna be able to win? Now you also have like Boo Boo Andre. Okay, maybe Boo Boo should fight the winner, and Zach Parker was supposed to fight Boo Boo, and that didn't happen. I would have preferred to see that.
Absolutely.
I love Boo Boo, and it's kind of hard to keep supporting him when he didn't take this fight that could have possibly put him in position to get the payday, as Canelo called them on the press conference, that all he wanted was money. When in reality, I think he just wants a shot at that fight, but is he gonna get it? I don't know at this point.
It doesn't come like that. And great point. I didn't know you definitely gave me some real education on that John Ryder resume, because once you look at it like that, you say to yourself, why would they even put Zach Parker unless they were feeding him? But then it's like that illusion. If Parker goes out there and destroys, it's like, yeah, Zach Parker, 168. But he is ambiguous in that same gap you're talking about. Like you said, there's the top of 168, yes, and then there's the rest of 168. And he can impose himself as just curious enough of a prospect just to make it an appealing fight, coming off of the wrist surgery, coming off of that. So, yeah, I think, a lot of people want to see Canelo fight other fighters. Unfortunately, because you mentioned for that date, sometimes I think we're held hostage by that date, and then we might be, a little bit okay with seeing a fight on that date and kind of miss over who we should be seeing fight on that date.
Well, unfortunately, because David Benavidez and Caleb Plant are gonna be fighting in March, sometime in March, can they really have that time to turn around and fight in May? Possibly not, right? More likely they're not, right? So Canelo doesn't want to stay inactive too long, which I understand, right? So why not fight David Morrell maybe instead?
Exactly.
But that's not the fight we're getting.
No. And Ronnie Shields mentioned that. He said David Morrell would love that fight, would love the opportunity. And Morrell, forget about the power. And I think he would make himself vulnerable enough that if Canelo hurts him, he hurts him. But if he doesn't, Canelo's got to worry about somebody that's not concerned about being hurt. That would be a great fight. Yeah.
And that fight prepares Canelo better for the winner of Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez.
Yes.
Are you really preparing yourself by fighting John Ryder or Zach Parker for a monster like David?
Let me ask you this, though, because this is what I was going to, should we expect Canelo? And of course we do. It's a rhetorical question, but is that the only fight left? Because we don't need to see nothing else, right? We want to see the winner of, and really we want it to be Benavidez. I no disrespect to Caleb Plant. Unless Caleb Plant, somehow this is a resurgence, he got the stoppage over Durrell, somehow he absolutely beats Benavidez, and then we're saying, hey, we'd love to see him give Canelo another run, right?
For sure.
Is that the only fight, though, we want to see virtually the winner, wink, wink, Benavidez versus Canelo? Is that what we ultimately want to see from Canelo, and then he can retire and do whatever he wants?
I personally think that he can retire today and be a Hall of Famer today.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's much for him to do, like you said. I would love for him to fight Charlo, one of the Charlo brothers, maybe Jermell, not Jermall, but Jermell at maybe 165 in a weight class if once he goes up, right? But those are not things that can happen right now. Yeah. I also would like to see him face Bubo Andre, but that's not a fight that he probably wants to give us. But other than that, I don't really think that there's a lot of other opposition that I would like to see him at either 168. I think 175 is way too big for him. So for me to ask him to fight someone like Bibo again, I don't think he should take that fight. Not even to mention someone like Arthur Bertabit, who, wow, I mean, that would just be ridiculous, right? So can he make 160? Why not maybe go down there and fight Jermell at 160? You know, that would be good, but can he get down there? I don't know. 8 pounds, right, that he would have to lose. Maybe someone like Earl Spence at 160, but that's too big in between for Earl Spence to get up there. You see, so I don't know. And besides, like, Canelo's not gonna go out there trying to make weight. He's the one that's gonna set the rules at where we're gonna fight, and I think that's kind of not really feasible. To me, he can retire today and be a Hall of Famer. I think we have enough boxers now that are elite and that could be possibly that are now gonna become the face of boxing. Like the winner of the Ryan versus Tank is going to become the new face of boxing. Agreed. And that fight could possibly happen Cinco de Mayo during the night in America. So maybe that's where they pass over the legacy and say the new versus the old. And the new is going to be Ryan or Tank. Yeah. Right. And I think we also need to let go of the idea that these fighters have to fight into their 45 or 50 years old. Like, why? I don't want other people to see their favorite fighter get knocked out. Absolutely. I'm not saying Canelo's gonna get knocked out, but do we want to see him go up to 175 again to prove something when in reality, you've already proven enough for us. You've done enough. So I think he's smart enough to not let himself get to that. And he's going to know when the time is right. Now, that doesn't mean he can't come back and do exhibitions. I see him fighting Jake Paul, possibly, for a whole bunch of money. Floyd is doing it right now, so why can't he?
And you know that it's almost like the bridge when the football guys, they become an announcer, they go into different directions. Shout out to Nate Burleson. He went from, playing with the Minnesota Vikings, and now he's on CBS Sunday Morning. You know what I mean? These guys, they have great careers. We see what Troy Aikman's done, right? So yeah, you don't have to do this forever. Canelo could definitely walk away. And I'm with you. It's 2 or 3 more fights, and he could do what he wants, retire, fight exhibitions. Shit, he could fight a bull for all I care at that point. But, you know, if the Benavidez fight happens, I would love that. And if not, happy trails, and let the young guys get out there and represent, because, you know, as we get closer to it, you know, and we're going to talk about it. The next time I'm going to have you in here to talk about, you know, Tank. Hopefully we'll talk after Hector Garcia and Tank Davis and see what that outcome, you know, because that fight in of itself was interesting to be made. But let the people know where they can find you one more time, and we're going to get up out of here.
So follow me on MC_in the ring on my Twitter and Instagram, and my link to my YouTube channel is there. So you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And guys, she's worth getting the Twitter account, getting updates. You can get them. You can find them on her page. She's very interactive. The YouTube page, her and her husband are working on that. And listen, this is my sister in boxing, so you can find her here if you don't find her over there. But we over here, these championship rounds, always getting some good sparring. Sis, I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and happy holidays to everyone.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.